All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're tackling a massive question about the future of AI, and really the future of the internet. Who actually owns your data? We're going to dig into a pretty radical idea that could flip the script entirely, shifting control from just a handful of tech giants back to you. So let's get right into it.
Okay, so that probably sounds like the setup to a really weird joke, right? But the answer to this question, believe it or not, gets right to the heart of this powerful new way of thinking. Let's start with a quick story that really sets the stage for everything else.
So picture this. It's 2010 and the US Air Force needs a supercomputer. But they don't want the supersized price tag that comes with it. Their solution? Absolutely brilliant. They went out and bought over 1,700 PlayStation 3s, yeah, the gaming console, and wired them all together to create something called the Condor cluster. This thing was a beast, and it proved a revolutionary point. You can build immense world-class computational power just by networking together a bunch of everyday devices. Now that idea right there, tuck that away, because it is the key to everything we're about to talk about.
And that story? Well, it perfectly sets up the massive problem we're all facing with the internet today: centralization. You've got a handful of giant companies that control pretty much all of our data. I mean, every click, every search, every photo, every place you go, it's all collected, packaged up, and sold. Our digital lives have literally become their product.
And the scale of this, it's just staggering. By 2025, all of our connected devices, our smartwatches, smart speakers, smart everything, are expected to be pumping out almost 80 zettabytes of data every single year. So what on earth is a zettabyte? It's a trillion gigabytes. To try and put that into perspective, if 1 gigabyte was a single brick, 80 zettabytes would be enough bricks to build the Great Wall of China over 20 million times. It is an almost incomprehensible amount of information, which makes the question of who controls it more important than ever.
So this really brings us to a fork in the road. We can either keep going down the same path, where we are the product and our data is sold without us really knowing what's going on, or we can pivot to this new model, which people are calling data democracy. And in this world, you are the owner. It's your property, plain and simple, and you're the one who gets to decide what happens to it. And look, the risks here aren't some far-off what-if scenario. They are very, very real. Just look at that number, $5 billion, with a B. That was the mind-blowing fine that Facebook got hit with for misusing user data. If that isn't a sign that the current model is broken, I don't know what is. So, what's the alternative?
Okay, so let's dive into the first part of the solution. There's a company called Jasmy, which was actually founded by some former bigwigs from Sony, and they're trying to build the actual infrastructure for this new age of data democracy.
The core of their whole idea is something called the Personal Data Locker, or PDL. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like your own personal Fort Knox for your data. It's a secure, digital vault that's decentralized, it's encrypted, and most importantly, you and only you hold the key.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting, because it completely flips the script. As your smart devices create data, it automatically goes into your secure locker. So for example, let's say your smart thermostat is learning your daily habits. Instead of that information just belonging to the manufacturer, it's yours. It sits in your locker. Then maybe an energy company comes along and wants to use that anonymous data to better manage the power grid. They have to ask you for permission. You have the total control to say yes or no. And here's the kicker. If you decide to share it, you actually get paid for it in JasmyCoin. Your data finally becomes what it should have been all along, your own personal asset.
And this vision of data democracy really is the foundation for everything they're building. But, in this age of AI, having secure data is only one piece of the puzzle, right? What about the raw power you need to actually do anything with it?
And that brings us to the second piece of this whole thing, pure computing power. AI is incredibly hungry for it. And that is where another project, incubated by Jasmy, called Janction, enters the picture.
You see, right now, AI development is basically a game for giants. You need these huge, massively expensive data centers that are just packed with powerful GPUs. It creates this enormous wall that pretty much prices out all the startups, researchers, and individual developers.
And this chart right here, it shows you exactly what we're talking about. If you want to rent GPU power from one of the big tech companies, it can cost you hundreds of dollars a day. Janction wants to completely shatter that model. They're aiming for a price revolution.
So how are they going to do it? Well, Janction is building a decentralized marketplace for all that computing power.
It's a concept called DePIN, which stands for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks. It essentially connects people who have idle GPUs, think about a gamer's high-end PC when they're at work, or a university computer lab overnight, with the developers who desperately need that power. So a small AI startup could rent processing power from thousands of individual users to train their new model. Hey, remember that PlayStation supercomputer we talked about at the beginning? This is that same exact idea, just blown up to a global, democratized scale.
All right, so let's put the two pieces together now. With Jasmy, you get secure, user-owned data. With Janction, you get affordable, decentralized computing power. And when you combine them, well, you get a complete ecosystem for a totally new, democratized era of AI.
And you can hear it straight from Janction's CEO. The mission here is crystal clear. This is about way more than just cool tech. It's about fundamentally breaking the monopoly that a few giant corporations have on both our data and the tools needed to make sense of it. To really get this vision, the people behind it use this amazing metaphor, a mycelium network. You know, that invisible underground web of fungus that actually connects and supports an entire forest ecosystem. That's what they see this as, the invisible foundational layer that connects our entire digital world. Their argument is that without this decentralized foundation, we are basically building our digital society on sinking sand. So, okay, let's put this decentralized model head-to-head with a centralized giant. Let's say Elon Musk's X.AI. The differences are pretty stark. In the decentralized model, control is spread out among the users, not locked down by one company. It can grow organically every time a new person joins the network. And maybe most importantly, with no single point of failure, it's just way more resilient. This, right here, is what democratizing AI actually looks like in practice.
So, at the end of the day, this is the question we're all left with. As we race ahead to build the future of AI, what kind of world are we actually building? Is it going to be one dominated by a few towering centralized skyscrapers? Or will it be more like a diverse, resilient, and interconnected forest where everyone can participate and grow? The choice we make is going to define everything about the next era of technology.